Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
A national state of emergency has just been declared after a mysterious ship of unknown origins ran aground and started leaking massive amounts of oil. No one tell America. Emergency workers in Trinidad and Tobago are scrambling to clean up the oil, but the strange thing about this whole situation is that no one knows where this ship has come from, who it belongs to, how it capsized, or even what it was carrying. People are now just referring to it as the ghost ship. In fact, when it was sighted on Wednesday, the government said that the ship was sailing under an unidentified flag, and it made no emergency calls before overturning, which suggests that there wasn't anyone even on board. And because we know so little and there's been hardly any media coverage, people have started going wild with speculation online. But the worst part is that this oil has turned white sand and crystal clear water into black sludge, and it has damaged a number of reefs. This is a massive blow to the island's economy, which depends on tourists, resorts, and hotels during Carnival.
Somewhere down the line, somebody abandoned that ship and made the decision to do so, knowing that this was going to likely be the outcome. It's pathetic. It is pretty cool to see how the sea seems to be eating that ship, though. All that seawater is just rusting through that thing. You could barely even tell that it was a ship.
I find it very weird that no one is talking about how there were 6 Nigerian billionaires who died in a plane crash mysteriously while on their way to the Super Bowl, and how Biden just posted this cryptic-ass message right after they died. The CEO of one of the largest banks in the country was on a helicopter with pilots, family, and the CEO/chairman of the Nigeria Stock Exchange when their helicopter mysteriously caught fire and crashed while on their way to the Super Bowl. And what are the odds that Biden on his presidential X account drops this photo with glowing red eyes and this weird caption that shocks all of America? And the caption for this picture that he actually posted on the presidential Twitter account was "just like we drew it up," and everyone thought that they were talking about the Super Bowl when they weren't. I honestly believe that this is what they were talking about. And if you are unfamiliar with the Nigerian Stock Exchange and what they have going on right now with America and just the overall fight for power, money, and greed, you need to pay attention to what is going on. One of the people on that aircraft was a chief executive of Access Bank, and his wife and his son were among those 6 people that were on board, and it went down shortly after 10 p.m. on Interstate 15, and all 6 people were killed, including 2 pilots and the former chairman of NGX Group, the Nigerian Stock Exchange. And what's so crazy, it is saying that authorities are investigating it, which means to me they may suspect foul play. They are trying to say that this could take up to 2 years. This entire investigation could take up to 2 years, and they are calling it a terrible tragedy. The Super Bowl was a giant ritual, and those people in that helicopter, think about it. If you take out the owner and CEO of a large bank, one of the largest banks in the country, you take off his wife, and you take out his son, who is left to get the money? Think about it.
That is pretty suspicious. Yeah, it's always suspicious whenever a bunch of important people on one plane go down at the same time, especially when they are already coming out and saying, oh, it's going to take us 2 years to figure anything out about this. That's a little suspect.
I really didn't consider that until you just said that. But my thought about this idea of the military turning on the citizens was always, but the military is citizens. And many of them are deeply patriotic and unlikely to do something like that. But if they did swap out immigrants, and they did do that, holy shit.
This is exactly...
Then you have a real coup.
This is what spooks me, is that in thinking about the various scenarios 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, I would have said, I fear that somebody is going to issue immoral orders to the military, but I'm convinced that the military will divide over them. That there are those who will carry out immoral orders, and there are others who won't.
And at the same time, there was a senator, I think, from Massachusetts that introduced a bill to ban what they call paramilitary training, which is just training with firearms, like to get better at them.
Right.
So the idea is you have a right to keep and bear arms, but you can't be good at them because you can't practice.
So if you imagine, in my naive state a few years ago, the idea was, well, you have a very well-armed populace. You have a military that's likely to be divided about immoral orders. I don't like the sound of that, but I don't think that it's a slam dunk that the tyrants win, because the part of the military that's not going to follow immoral orders and the citizenry that will fight to defend the republic, that's a pretty powerful force. But then you have vaccine mandates, which force out most of the people who are independent-minded from the military. And then you have the idea that migrants might be granted citizenship in exchange for military service. And
has that been introduced anywhere, or is this just a complete hypothesis?
no, it's not a hypothesis. Actually, maybe Jamie, you could look it up. I don't want to slander anybody, but yes, I believe it has been raised by at least one senator.
Jesus Christ.
Is that the paramilitary thing?
No. The other thing, the thing about granting citizenship to illegal immigrants in exchange for military service.
So, in any case, I did not. It took a lot of thinking about different pieces of the puzzle to begin to wonder about something like this. But having wondered about it, it doesn't disappear from my mind as, oh, that's just simply crazy. Actually, this, given the number of things that don't add up, this begins to explain them in, a reasonably parsimonious way. And it has me worried. But that is not inherently, in fact, it is probably not the same thing as what would explain the concentration of Chinese migrants.
Right.
Right? The Chinese migrants presumably have left China with the knowledge of their government. The bias of that group in favor of males is something we can talk about if you want to, but it has an obvious interpretation. And that ought to frighten us as well, right? So at the same...
How many are we talking about? Is there an estimate of how many military-aged Chinese men have gotten into the country?
Now, I'm always hesitant at this point in the conversation, because what I saw is what one person looks at through their eyes. So I'm in no position to estimate that. But I believe we are talking about tens of thousands. Certainly, when we're talking about the entire migration, we are talking about millions. And the number that is flowing through Central America, the flow-through rate in a given day is many thousands. So it's hard to know, and I would want somebody who was in a position to look at an estimate, not just a spot check.
So if the tyrannical government is playing some long game of chess, these are the pieces that would be moving.
I could find on a number.
Chinese immigrants who entered the U.S. without authorization. In 2023, it's over 30,000. Look at how low it was in 2021.
Yep.
And how high it is in 2023.
What's the source on this?
This is the U.S. Customs and Border Protection.
Oh, my God. And that's probably a low estimate. It's probably like VAERS.
When I was looking up the other thing about the military, I think you have to have a green card first.
And they give them a green card. But
this also was talking about the numbers are down for the Air Force, the Army.
Yeah, for everybody. They're actually asking people who retired to come back.
This is a likely scenario here. I mean, they're already talking about doing this, and this is how the Civil War is going to kick off. It's not going to be citizens against citizens. It's going to be illegal immigrants who have joined our military against citizens. So it's going to be a freaking nightmare. Hopefully we can get this country back on the right track before things get out of hand, but it ain't looking good. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, I make a new one just like it every single day. It'd be awesome if you'd hit that subscribe button and come back tomorrow to join me.
What if dragons were real, but today we refer to them as dinosaurs? There is a theory that claims that dinosaurs never existed, and that the bones we have come across today are actually that of biblical dragons. As you may or may not know, all the dinosaur bones that you see on display in the museums are actually fake recreations. This is said to be because real dinosaur bones are too dangerous to display, as they are extremely radioactive. It is thought that this is all a cover-up to hide the fact that dragons and other biblical creatures were real, therefore steering us further away from the truth of our world. The term Dinosauria was invented by a man named Sir Richard Owen in 1842, but the first dinosaur to ever be discovered was in 1824, by a man named Buckland. When Buckland discovered this creature, he never used the term dinosaur, and he actually described what he found as a large, distinct creature that was significantly different to the modern reptile. Now, other descriptions of a fossil collection by William Devonshire Sauls was described as a reptilian-like serpent creature similar to an iguana. This creature was mentioned in the Book of Enoch, a chalky tree.
I would look it up and see what it says in the Book of Enoch, but I just shipped that out to somebody yesterday. The idea that dinosaurs were actually dragons, I can get behind that idea. I don't think that they know that much about dinosaurs. I think that we're starting to get some more details now. We found that one that was still had its skin intact and had DNA and bone marrow and stuff, so that was pretty cool. I don't remember what type of dinosaur it was, but it was the one with the scales and bumps and ridges on its back that looked kind of like a turtle. But it doesn't make any sense. Everything else we dig up out of the ground can go into a museum, but dinosaur bones are radioactive. That doesn't make any sense at all, unless they're radioactive because dragons or dinosaurs used to exist and they were killed off during the Great War of the Anunnaki or something. Yeah, nuclear explosions were going off. That could explain it. I don't know.
I thought, someone please tell me, that when these astronauts went into space, supposedly, and they had this helmet over their head, it was so they could get oxygen because supposedly there's no oxygen in space, right? So I'll show you the clip off the news. So because one of them almost drowned in their helmet in space, they're going to start using snorkels. So if their helmet fills up with water, they'll have a snorkel to breathe what? What are they going to be breathing? There's no oxygen in space, right? I'm really confused.
The space station has taken an unexpected turn. The astronauts doing the spacewalks will now be wearing snorkels after the last astronaut who performed a spacewalk nearly drowned when his helmet filled with water.
Man, everything that comes out of NASA makes them look more and more stupid. How did their helmet fill with water if they were out doing a spacewalk? Unless they're in water and the ISS is not in space. Yeah, make that one make sense.
Were you shown the future at any time?
Oh, you're gonna ask that one.
You can say no, or we can skip over it, or I can just not include it. But
I'll share it, and then you decide. I don't want to scare anybody. That's my whole thing,
Okay.
and I do talk about it. So I'm at a dinner party with friends who had just moved to Vancouver. I found it hard to breathe. I felt a lot of pressure in my chest. I thought, well, maybe I suddenly got sick. I didn't know what to think, to be honest with you. It got to be so bad that I ended up going to their washroom, and I stood in front of the mirror and I said, Heather, if you do not get help or say you need help, you're going to die. There was a feeling that came over me about that, and it was a foreboding feeling. And so I left the bathroom and I said, I need an ambulance. Music got turned down, and they all looked at me and they said, what? I said, I need an ambulance. I need an ambulance right now. Right now. And my fiance at the time said, no, I'll take her to the hospital. Do you really want to go to the hospital? I said, I need an ambulance. I said, don't take me to the hospital. You don't know this area. So anyways, I don't know what, I got picked up and stuffed into the car. We're on a black highway, had no idea where he's trying to take me. That feeling just grew and grew and grew within me that I was going to die. It came to a point in time where I surrendered to it. And then all of a sudden this darkness came very slowly from the back, like this, came over me, slower and slower and slower. And it was a black like you'd never seen. It was pitch black. But this darkness came until it was just a small, tiny little hole. And that's all I could see out of until that was gone. Now I'm in pitch blackness. Call it the abyss or the void, because I don't know what to call it. But it was so comfortable there, even though it was pitch black, pitch black. There was no top, bottom, sides, like it was just this incredible vast space. It was very much like if you're ever at a lake and you're the only one there and you're just floating. I didn't hear anything, there was no sounds, just that sensation of floating, of being completely supported and very, very comfortable. There was no fear. I had absolutely zero fear. There was no stress. I was more or less intrigued, to be honest with you. I was intrigued about what is this? What is this place? So curious as to how dark this really was that I had taken my hand and put it in front of my face to see if I could see my hand, and I could not. So that's how dark it was. Now, way off in the distance, I saw this tiny spark of light. It's the only thing you could see in the whole entire basement. The only thing that I could see, and it got bigger and bigger, and it seemed like it was coming towards me. And I just watched with a sense of curiosity. There was really nothing else I could do. It wasn't like I could move and run or anything. I was suspended. As it's coming closer and closer, and I realized, oh, hey, wait a minute. It looks like a tunnel. Looks like a cone even, swirling with different tones of gray and sparks of a brighter light. And so I'm watching this, and now it's closer and closer, and I'm watching it, it's coming above me. But now I'm ascending upwards. I have no control over that whatsoever, but now I'm suddenly in it. And now I'm starting to get nervous because I don't know what that is, you know? I have absolutely no idea. I put my arms and legs out because I thought, well, if I could touch the side, maybe I could stop myself from going up, because I was trying to control the situation. I did not want to be out of control with this, you know? So, but it expanded on me. I definitely started to freak out a bit because that really meant I had absolutely zero control. I had absolutely zero understanding of what was happening, and I didn't know what this was. But as I'm going up and up and up and up, and I could see, because you're kind of going up and over. It's actually an up and over feeling. And I could see at the top of the tunnel, I guess we could call it, this extreme bright light, extreme. And then all of a sudden I was there. And so I'm like this. Still don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. When I was a child and I had asked my father, well, what happens when we die, Dad? And he said, nothing. We live, we die, that's it. You're in the ground. That's all. And so I took that as a little kid at absolute face value. And so, you know, that's why I didn't know about this. And I hadn't read books or anything. I didn't know. One time when I was invited to my cousin's Sunday school, the teacher asked me if I believed in God, and I said no, and she was absolutely horrified.
Wow.
So anyways, I get into this bright light, and I'm stunned with the brightness of it. So it was like a blue-white light. And within that white light are also silvers, and like there's a lot of depth to that white light. It's not just a color. Then there were people. And the best way I can explain the people coming out of the light were, if you've ever been to a football game and you know those really large lights that they all have up there, you take every single one of those lights and you put them ground level, stacked on top of each other. And then people coming out of that. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? What the hell's going on, you know? There was a massive group of people. Could have been 100 or more. Big group of people. I'm like this. And I'm rude. Hey, I'm really rude. And I'm telling them to back the F away from me. Get the F away from me. I don't know who you are. Get away. You know, keep away from me. Oh, wait a minute. There's Nanny, my great-grandmother. Oh, there's my great-grandfather, there's my Aunt Alice, and my Uncle Dick, and like I'm noticing these people that I knew that passed. And I didn't understand that. I absolutely did not understand that. And I said, I just, had said to myself, I don't know what's going on. Where am I? I'm sorry, but I mean, that's how it was. I was actually quite rude. And my great-grandmother stepped towards me. And this always makes me tear up. She said, Heather, you have died. And I was like, no, that can't be. Sorry. She was the one who told me. Because I didn't know. That stage was when I started to recognize the light. That incredible light. And it was lovely. Yes. Beyond what we could imagine.
I just thought that was a very fascinating story. Take it with a grain of salt. This lady could be making it all up, but it falls right in line with everything I've heard of how the afterlife is supposed to work whenever we pass. We're supposed to go to like an ethereal plane where we're connected with our soul family, and if it's not time for us to stay there, we can actually come back. We can make that decision on whether or not we want to continue on with our current life, if there's nothing too wrong with our mortal body, or we can continue on to the next life. So I just thought that was very fascinating to listen to.
I told y'all on January 1st that this year was going to be the year for alien disclosure. They had 3 alien ads at the Super Bowl, and one literally tells us what's going to happen. And you're about to see the exact kind of alien that you're going to meet. It's not these. Listen.
Reports of flying saucers are nothing new. These are routine sightings, not isolated events.
Everything that happened last year.
Oh my God! They're all against the wind. All against the wind. Well, it's 110, 150.
They're showing you what's about to happen.
There was an historic hearing today on Capitol Hill and an unprecedented bipartisan push for UFO transparency.
I can't even. There he is. It specifically showed a gray. Of all different aliens it could put, it's a gray. They are behind it. Did you see that? I hope you saw that. It was quick. Watch, it's them, and all of a sudden he shakes his screen and it's back to the aliens. Again. A glitch, and he saw the truth, shook it, and it's back to normal. The grays. And 2 bonus ads. You know how I just showed you that tweet from Stephen King with a rabbit mask on? There's a commercial about people being abducted by white rabbits. White rabbits. Also, all this red is showing you a red wave. Trump is going to win. They already know, it's already planned.
If they were actually planning something, I don't think they'd be showing us on TV what the actual creatures look like that were here. Everything I watch just makes me think this is all some government coup, some government psyop. They're trying to normalize this and bring it into pop culture and make it more of a not such a big deal type of thing. So what are they planning? If they're trying to normalize it and make you comfortable seeing this alien and UFO stuff, what kind of crazy crap are they planning that's going to catch you off guard, that's going to actually shock you?
This is a generator that has no moving parts. And here's the basic idea, as I think I understand it at this point. Resonance frequencies. Everything vibrates. Everything vibrates at a frequency, and if you know that frequency, you can control things. He said, you laid the foundation with your work on ancient geometry, and I built a house on top of it. Well, this is the model, and this is diagramming all the frequencies of the elements and what their vibrational frequencies are and the numbers that measure those frequencies. Copies of all the patents. I have videos of the testing of the prototypes. And Mazda, the car manufacturer in Japan, is getting ready to do a $25 million testing of some of these prototypes that they believe they can retrofit internal combustion engines with.
For those of you who weren't fortunate enough to listen to that podcast, I was, fortunately, and what he's talking about is they have this box that they can put over a generator that absorbs the frequency and the vibrations that are coming off the generator and bounces it back at the generator and outputs something crazy like a 78 or something % increase in efficiency. It is insane, and they're planning on trying to retrofit this into vehicles. And this is all based off of ancient frequency technology, ancient frequency knowledge, and what they've discovered in some of these ancient texts and stuff. They're trying to actually put that stuff into practice and see what it's capable of. And this is one of the things that they discovered while doing so.
Did you know there's a conspiracy regarding fog? And I found a CIA document about it. The CIA in 1967, they were doing tests to see how they can implement man-made fog to where no one can drive. And then, but at the bottom of it, it literally says top secret.
If the military can produce something for cheap that's strategic in wartime, deters from any signals getting through, it's like, of course they're going to duplicate everything they can.
We have all of these tactical approaches to like combat and stuff like that. But what are the vulnerabilities that we can't predict? Things that we can't control? Weather.
It stops people from moving. People literally cannot drive through it. Like, literally controls people.
Yeah.
So it's like, why would the government not be interested in that?
Yeah.
You know, this makes me think of just a few weeks ago whenever we had all that intense, crazy fog. If I'm not mistaken, we had a lot of areas where the roads were shut down because of like pileups and stuff, bad accidents and whatnot. I wonder if that was the government testing out their machinery. Interesting to think about. But guys, that's the end of these clips today. I hope you will come back tomorrow and join me for the next one. I will be back here with another one just like I always am. I hope you have a great, safe, fantastic Thursday, and I will see you tomorrow.